Hi there, everybody. Alongside Spencer Carbery, I'm John Walton. Welcome to Coach's Corner, brought to you by Capital One. Coach, there are a lot of young players that have had great seasons this season, and I wanted to ask you first about Connor McMichael.
Great moves, McMichael dangles in, backhand, score! A dazzling second goal of the night for McMichael.
He has been able to use his speed and produce offensively at a rate that we hadn't seen previously at the NHL level.
Yeah, he's done a real solid job all year long. I mean, there's always ebbs and flows in an individual player's season, and we've seen a lot of growth and development from him through the season, and so much so that line that he's had a lot of chemistry with pro, and as the season's gone along, people have taken notice.
Nice job by Alexei Protas to win a battle, bring it ahead, short-handed McMichael, and he scores!
He doesn't want to just gain experience. He wants to play well, and he wants to be able to be a difference maker for our team, even at a young age. A great season for him overall, but the way I look at it is there's just so much growth from him this year.
One of the guys that you just mentioned, Alexei Protas, a lot of the size that you see from him, I think that's what we saw first and foremost, but when you're around after practice, he's always working on his game. What about his work ethic, his personality has helped to get him to this point in his career?
Yeah, he's such a dedicated, hard worker, so committed to his individual development like you touched on. Whenever you bring anything to pro, you know that he's taking it to heart and he's going to work his butt off to try to integrate that or improve in that area. And the specific things that we've talked about him with at the beginning of the year to now, it's like this.
Protas on the go, fires off the crossbar and down. The red light is on. Protas celebrates. The Caps have the lead.
And it takes time. Young players, that's what you have to remember too, is you'll see it for 2 nights and then usually it regresses or goes back, and then you remind them and then they get back on it. And that's part of the maturation of a young player in the National Hockey League, is trying to be consistent with it and do it for 82 games, which is really, really difficult for young players. But that's what we've seen, so much development for pro, and there's so many little skills that he's done a great job of integrating into his game.
You know, thinking about where they are in their development and finding that full-time NHL job. Henri Lapierre hasn't really gotten to that point yet, but we have seen a lot of different things from him this year.
Milano sends in Lapierre. Henri Lapierre backhand. He scores! A 3-point performance for Lapierre.
The energy and speed that he brings kind of reminds me a little bit of what Connor did, but maybe just not quite at that point yet. Is that fair to say as far as his development and where he's at right now?
He's shown glimpses and stretches of what he's going to be capable of doing consistently at the NHL level. And that's, again, the speed off the rush. He's got a lot of creativity to his game. He's got a lot of deception where he can take you inside out, make defenders miss, create space for his line mates. Again, the consistency component of it is something that he'll continue to build and work on. That's in the gym. That's him maturing and understanding how to approach an afternoon game, a back-to-back, a road game. All of that stuff is new for these young players, but we're trying to balance him playing a lot and playing in key situations in the American Hockey League, and also make sure that he's getting good opportunity in the NHL and getting his feet wet.
You have a unique perspective on Rasmus Sandin, having been around him in Toronto before your time coming back to the Capitals, and we forget how young he is too, as he was acquired a year ago. How has he rounded into maybe a full game as a defenseman, a full, well-rounded game as a D-man?
Yeah, I think there's still a lot of potential there with Rasmus. It usually takes defensemen a little bit longer to develop at the National Hockey League, couple hundred games, 250. He's right at that 200 mark. So I feel like he's at that point where he feels completely comfortable in the league, and now it's just pushing the envelope of where his ceiling is going to be. But the most important thing for him right now is, as he's now becoming ingrained as a top pair, top 3 D-man, is being able to be really sound in his 5-on-5 game, whether that's breaking pucks out, defending the rush, or in defensive zone coverage against some of the best players in the world.
Sandin scampers across the line, lets it fly, score!
I was even talking to Rasmus Sandin today, and we had a real focus on him getting his shot through from the offensive blue line, and he's talking about how he's like, you know, I've really tried to now just look to find a way to get that puck through a hole and not necessarily to score on the goaltender, making sure that I get it through that first layer. And so these guys are trying to find ways to get better, and they're committed to their craft, and they're trying to help our team win games, and that, for me, is what it's all about.
the blue line, Alexeyev forcing one through, and they score! And that might be the first NHL goal for
Alexander Alexeyev's been able to get in the lineup a little bit more and show you what he has. Kind of curious to see where his game goes from here.
He sat for some long stretches this year just because we were healthy, and it meant that he was the odd man out for, call it 25 games or whatever it was. And this guy, every single day, working his butt off, coachable, didn't pout, wasn't negative body language whatsoever, just came to work every single day. And then when he got his opportunity, he didn't make excuses and say, well, I haven't played in a while, so I'm not going to be able to play very well. He actually played at a really high level. Now he's getting another good opportunity and has done a pretty solid job. Like he's doing the things he needs to do. Move pucks cleanly, defend really well. He gets in shot lanes, he blocks a ton of shots, lays it on the line, and sacrifices for the team. So I've liked a lot of things that he's done since coming into the line.
Given your history in the organization and development, having been with South Carolina and with Hershey and now doing it at this level with Washington, what are some of the things that you enjoy about that?
I would say that the thing I enjoy the most is when a player struggles, which inevitably they will as a young player, with whatever area it is. They recognize it, they see it visually, they feel it on the ice, and then you go, okay, let's come up with a plan, you and I, and with the coaching staff. Here's what we need to do, here's how we're going to get better in this area, and then you see it come to life in games, and you watch that live, and then you break it down on the film. And when you show that stuff, and then you can talk about it and say, look at how far you've come. This is the beginning of the year, and now this is where you are. It just is a really good example of when you put work in, when you're committed to your craft, when you want to get better every day, you see the results. And so when you get to live that with the players and see their facial expressions and see how proud and happy they get of, yeah, I can do this, I can make that play, yeah, I can win that puck battle, I can play at that pace all the time, all those things. That's pretty rewarding to see, and to see them be able to be rewarded and have success in the league.
Well, the future very bright here as far as the Capitals youngsters are concerned. He's Spencer Carbery. I'm John Walton, and that is your edition of Coach's Corner.